Today on DNVR Buffs Live, what the number 20 ranking means for Colorado moving forward. And do we have a new two-way star in the making? Let's dive in. Let's go.
Squad. Coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota Store. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. It's DNVR Buffs Live. A lot to get to today. A little bit of recruiting. Why Shedeur is going to have a big game on Saturday. What happened after practice. The new two-way star. But we start with the CFP. Colorado, number 20. Initial reactions to seeing that.
My initial reaction is good enough. And what I mean by that is I feel as though it could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
But it's good enough, meaning you're 8 spots out. You can make that up in 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I will say, we talked about this kind of after the show, but like, what if the committee are haters?
Right.
And like when I saw undefeated Army come in at 25,
yep.
I was like, now wait a minute here. But thankfully, they rolled them in at number 20, which is a spot ahead of where they are in the AP poll. Committee confirmed not haters.
Yep.
Which is also good, like legitimately an important barrier to clear. And good enough.
Yeah, it was an encouraging development, if you ask me, for Colorado football, for Buff Nation, right? Like you said, 8 spots ostensibly to get into that top 12 isn't a crazy hill to climb over the next month, especially when you look at, the next 4 games on the Buff schedule. Again, I think it was an encouraging night, and I think it was encouraging what was said afterwards, right? CFP Chair Ward Manuel had a call with some media members after the selection show, and a couple of things really stood out to me, and I think a couple of things really can apply to Colorado here. Ward Manuel was talking about Miami and why there was such a big gap between them at number 4 and BYU at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Ward Manuel cited Miami's, quote, offensive prowess and said that it came down to more of an eye test. And if that's the lens that this committee is going to be looking through and trying to decide who's going to be in the college football playoff, I think that's going to fare well for the Buffs. Obviously having the best quarterback in college football, arguably the best receiving core in college football, and obviously an explosive offense. And we're coming down to splitting hairs between Colorado and, say, an Army, like you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
I think Colorado's going to get the edge.
Yeah.
Again, when you're talking about their offensive prowess and their eye test. And again, it goes back also to what I said yesterday, where it's like, I think this team is going to have at least one game the rest of the way where they completely dominate, where it's an eye test game, where they dominate from start to finish, have a 2-3 score victory. And again, it could come as soon as this week, but I think that's going to happen over the next months to really feel good about their chances at an at-large bid.
When you look at the 8 teams that are in front of Colorado between, I guess maybe it's 7 teams between where they are and where Boise is at 12.
Mm-hmm.
And you just start to, go through it. Okay, Boise loses another one, they're dropping heavily.
Yes.
SMU loses another one, they're going to drop significantly. Texas A&M, if they were to lose again, now they're a 3-loss team.
Probably out.
LSU, you lose again, you're a 3-loss team.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, you lose again, you're a 3-loss team.
Yeah.
Iowa State, need them to lose anyway. But in an at-large world, And if they didn't lose, okay, that would be tough to jump them. But then, maybe they would go all the way through. But anyways, Pittsburgh, they lose again, they're going to drop.
Yeah.
And then Kansas State, they lose again, they're a 3-loss team.
Yep.
Are all of those teams going to lose? Probably not. 1 or 2, maybe even 3 of those 8 teams are probably going to run the table.
Yeah.
But again, let's just say Colorado going into the final week of the season's at 14.
Yes, they will be 100% live.
And they win, and they're 10-2, and for whatever reason they don't get into the college football playoff game. You don't think they're going to figure out a way to get Colorado to 12th?
For sure.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I thought. I mean, 20, you have to take that.
Yeah.
It's probably not as optimistic as we initially thought yesterday, but they're in the neighborhood to really move up. Really not much difference between, hardly any difference. It's Colorado between the AP poll and what the CFP did with the Big 12. BYU stays pat at 9. Iowa State's still there at 17. K-State, though, did get some love. They're above Colorado again now in the CFP rankings. They're 19. And I don't even think I really blame them for that because I think you just go to head-to-head at that point, which obviously K-State beat Colorado. Yeah. So it's great to work with. I guess any other?
I was going to say one more thing, too, when you're talking about the Big 12. Another interesting quote that Ward Manuel, College Football Playoff Selection Committee chair, said last night after the ranking came out was, quote, "What happened last year does not matter. The conferences that teams play in don't matter. We don't look at the public polls." So if you take Ward Manuel at his word, just because Colorado plays in, what may be deemed as a weaker conference like the Big 12, that shouldn't impact things. Where they're ranked in the AP poll every week shouldn't really impact things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's interesting to know and keep in mind.
Yeah, I don't honestly they're just doing it for tradition at this point, but you might as well honestly throw out the AP poll once the CFP rankings come out.
True.
Yeah.
The AP poll literally means nothing now.
This is how it happened in the BCS era. Once the BCS started in week 6 or whatever it was, no one cared about the AP or the coaches poll.
Yeah, exactly. So, we don't even need to pay attention to the AP poll anymore. And the good news is Colorado's in a great position in the CFP rankings. And, I tweeted about this last night, but Buffs fans, just take a moment to feel what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Colorado's ranked 20th in the country in a 12-team playoff era. There's 4 games left in the season. We have made it to November, and every game at this point is essentially a playoff game. You're playing in a single loss elimination tournament from here on out, and there's a very good chance that as long as you keep winning, there will be a next game, and then a next game, and then a next game, and what an exciting time. And I know we've talked about it a lot, but I sometimes just still don't feel like people truly understand where we came from.
Yep.
Less than 2 years ago, you're down 35-0 to Utah at halftime.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Less than 2 calendar years ago.
You let Washington put 70 on you.
And right now we're talking about we're talking about the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Talking about which bowl they're going to go to a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Before even Halloween. It's crazy.
Coach Prime, he's unprecedented. In ESPN's FPI, Colorado's chances to win the Big 12 are up to 11.6%. They've been upgraded from their long shot category that they were in last week.
Okay. What are we at? What's the category we're in now?
We are in fighting chance.
All right, let's go.
Colorado at Texas Tech is listed as one of the biggest remaining games in this conference, obviously because of where the 2 teams are ranked. A lot of K-State games, though, in this. And then the BYU at Arizona State game, I think that's the second to last game of the season for them.
Yeah.
Another thing kind of related, again, Ward Manuel, another thing I found interesting, he was asked about Washington State.
Yeah.
Who's 7-1, and was asked about why they're ranked 21st, right? A spot behind Colorado. And Ward Manuel mentioned that Washington State's best win was probably their victory over Washington, who's 5-4. So, again, looking at the rest of the Buff schedule, I don't know if there's better opportunities than this weekend to get a good win.
Great point.
Because, again, Oklahoma State is literally at the bottom of the conference right now. Mm-hmm. Kansas has been awful. And then Utah is right there in the conversation with those other 2 teams. So, again, this is a huge opportunity this weekend, again, to have a good showing for the eye test as well as getting, a quality win over a good Texas Tech team.
And I mean, you need it no matter what, right?
No doubt.
Regardless of the resume.
No doubt.
But I wouldn't say this week, but starting next week, if we're going to talk about an at-large bid, we actually, unfortunately, do have to start talking about style points.
Mm-hmm.
This one I feel is just win
it
at all costs.
Yeah.
But beyond that, with no quality wins available left on the schedule, unless you were to make the Big 12 championship game, which then we stopped talking about at large anyway.
Yeah.
You kind of do have to style a little bit. And if Colorado, won their last 3 games by an average of 27 points per game, and they were on a 6-game winning streak, the committee would. I can just hear Ward Manuel now being like, yes, we know Colorado didn't have the best quality wins in the second half of the season, but you can only play who's in front of you. And the eye test told us that they can play with anyone.
Yep. We have a new two-way player. We've talked about it a little bit on the show. We've been asked about it, but Tyler Brown, he's making some noise playing defensive tackle. We talked to Coach Hart, Phillip Houston, LaVonta Bentley after practice today. And at least Coach Hart and Houston were asked about it. I can't remember if Bentley was, but here's what LaVonta Bentley or what Coach Hart had to say about what he's seen from Tyler Brown playing on the defensive line.
Well, I tell you what, the guy is strong. He is strong. He's one of the strongest guys we've had. So to have him in there plugging gaps and can't be moved, we love that as linebackers. That helps us out a lot. So, he always goes about his work in a professional way, and I think it gets back into that tribe mentality that I talked about with the coaches. It's with the players too. No job is too big or too small, And how he's doing in practice, I love to keep him over there. I don't know if we can or not, but I'd sure fight for it.
You'd love to keep him over there, he says.
Yeah, and we heard yesterday from someone that a high-profile defensive line coach had very similar things to say.
Yep. Phillip Houston was asked about it. He obviously plays on the other side of the ball and was playing next to Tyler at a certain point. But he was asked what it's been like seeing Tyler Brown on the defensive line.
I've honestly seen a little switch flipping him, of just a little bit more hunger, of just running through people. Because I'd say he's the strongest dude on the team. So when you're on the other side, it's I gotta go against the strongest man now. So that's really what I've been seeing. Hungry. Yes, sir.
I really think there's something to that.
Strongest man on the team?
Well, yes, that for sure.
Yeah.
I think Phil Lodeholt said it's the strongest player he's ever coached.
Yeah.
Or ever been around, maybe. Yeah. And I really do think there's something to that hunger, and I would even say maybe anger.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
If you had to compare the two, and I'm sure an offensive lineman would hate to hear this, but if you had to compare the two, offensive line is more passive, defensive line is more aggressive.
Well, Neely talked about it. Remember, he's like, last year we didn't have any guys on the defensive line that scared me.
Yeah.
And now we have guys this year that I look at them and I get scared.
Right. It's just defensive line is built on aggression.
Yeah.
Whereas offensive line is a little more on technique and whatever it may be. The rules on pass plays say you have to go backwards.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Whereas defensive linemen are just going out there just trying to eat. And I just wonder if being able to unlock that anger inside of him is a positive thing for Tyler Brown moving forward.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because that strength is a real factor, particularly on the defensive line. Could you imagine Chidoze and Tyler Brown in the interior of the defensive line and maybe a goal line short yardage type of defensive look? That'd be something special for sure. So yeah, and again, I think defensive line and probably linebacker, probably the two spots on this team with kind of the least amount of depth at this point, with some of the red shirts at linebacker and some of the injuries on the defensive line. Mm-hmm. This is a spot that, again, Tyler Brown, the type of mental makeup he has as a player, and that he's somebody who can handle two-way responsibilities. And I also think it also says a little bit about where this offensive line is, that you're willing to, allow Tyler Brown to, kind of dabble on the defensive side of the ball because you feel pretty good about, your starting five on the offensive side of the line, which is awesome.
I want to touch on that, but we'll do it on the other side of this break. Shout out to the homies over at Bet365. The best book to bet on football with their early money line payouts. You bet on a money line, your team gets up by 17 points or more. That's it. Doesn't matter if the team you're betting against comes back your moneyline bet is cashed over at Bet365. And right now, new customers can cash in on the bet and get offer where you get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, and you'll get 2 months of Altitude Plus on Bet365. Just sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10, place a bet of $5 or more on anything. You just need that bet to cash. Once it hits or misses, you'll get $200 in bonus bets deposited directly into your account, and a code to get the first 2 months of Altitude Plus courtesy of Bet365. Once you get that code, head on over to Altitude Plus, make an account, and redeem it to stream. Limited time offer, so sign up today. You must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Also, shout out to the homies, quite literally in Jake's case. At Westera Credit Union. Experience the hands-on nature of working with a credit union rather than the passive nature of working with a big bank. What they do over at Westera is great. They'll take care of you, and they'll make you feel like you have friends.
They do. I can vouch for that.
So go to westeracu.com/smartmoney to check out the details on some of the great offers they have available for you right now. That's again, westeracu.com/smartmoney for more details. Membership eligibility required, insured by NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply.
What you said, Scott, about how Tyler moving to playing both sides kind of says something about this offensive line.
Yeah.
And I think absolutely. We saw Justin and Khalil kind of out of the mix for a while early in the season. They are clearly right back in it right now. Khalil's healthy. So I think that's been a major factor. And then we talked to him today. Phillip Houston's emergence, I think, has been a massive factor to allow, some stability at guard too. Mm-hmm. And then you can just have Tyler go do what he does best on either side of the ball, really.
Yeah, man, the emergence of Phillip Houston is huge. Like, I honestly don't think that's a storyline that we're talking about enough. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's locked up that right side of that offensive line and, been a stalwart and been a very consistent factor. And I believe this was our first time hearing from him at the podium this year, too. Yep. And I was really impressed with a lot of things he had to say. And looking at the other side of the offensive line, maybe the best quote that I heard today was from Phillip Houston about Jordan Seaton.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Say less.
We'll get to it. Do you have anything else on TV?
No, but I do have one last thing on the college football playoff that I forgot.
Sure, go ahead.
Let's get it.
Ward Manuel was asked about conference championship games and will a team be punished for losing in a conference championship game? And I found his answer to be really interesting. He essentially said, depends on how the game goes.
2 years ago, TCU got in after they lost to K-State in the Big 12 title game.
Yep. And if I remember, that was like a crazy game, maybe even overtime.
It was like a 1-point game or something.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the fair way to do this.
Agreed.
If you go into a conference championship game and perform like Oklahoma State did last year, well, you've just told the world that you can't compete with teams of that caliber.
Right.
If you go in there and you get into a knockdown, drag-out fight with the team that's going to eventually win your conference, you've showed the opposite. You're ready to play with anyone, and I almost feel like that loss should be completely expunged from your record.
I mean, they've kind of gone back and forth with it in the 4-team playoff era, but I do think the 12-team era is going to open that up a lot more. Where, and I hate it or love it, whatever you think about it, where I think both teams in either conference title game could have a chance. So,
I value a team that goes to the conference championship and loses over a team that has one less loss than them.
But
didn't play for their conference title,
sure.
Exponentially.
For sure. All right. Well, let's go to Phillip Houston today's presser. Yeah, first time on the podium for him. He's been having kind of a breakout season and has really helped solidify Colorado's offensive line. Let's play the one that Scott was talking about. Here's what Phillip Houston had to say when he was asked about Jordan Seaton and what he's seen from him.
From since we got here to now, I've seen like a dog unlocking him. I've seen his run block turn up way more. I've seen him start finishing blocks more. And ultimately, he just becoming more confident in himself and his game. So that's the biggest thing I've seen in Seaton. Yes, sir.
What do you want to say on that, Scott?
The last part where he says, ultimately, he's just become more confident in himself and his game. You can say that about the whole offensive line, I feel like, at this point.
Damn right.
Like, this group has just been gelling together. And, again, it was a rough start, but, I mean, that's just to be expected when you're putting together different guys from different places at different parts of their college football careers. But again, hats off to Phil Loadholt and, this entire unit for, again, growing and, not getting down on themselves after, a tough start to the year. But again, well, also too, what Hugh Phillips said about Seton just improving as a run blocker, right? Mm-hmm. That's huge because we know he was a talented, natural pass protector. But if he could continue to add, being a mauler in the run game like Houston already is, I mean, he's going to be a hell of a player. He already is, but sky's the limit for that guy, no doubt.
Yeah, man. I love what you said there. It feels like the offensive line is a lot like the rest of the team. They've just gotten better and better as the season has gone on.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the most exciting part about these last 4 games is we maybe haven't even seen this team at the best they can
I don't
be.
think so.
For sure.
And I think arguably the best they looked was against Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. There were some moments where they didn't, but that was just like a very complete game to me against one of the better teams they've played. What if they look even better than that this week?
I know.
And then they play 3 teams that they should handle easily. What if they go and put real blowouts on those teams?
Yeah.
It's on the table.
Yep.
What he said about Seton, I'm going to knock on wood here because we kind of talked about the whole offseason how be patient with Jordan. He might have some moments. And to his credit, I don't really think he's had a moment. Maybe the opening of the spring game. And that's it to this point. I mean, he has been incredible. And I can't even remember who said it at this point, but if you had a draft of all the players in college football right now, Jordan Seton would definitely be up there.
I think that was you. Didn't you say that?
Was that you that said that? I mean, it's so true, though.
The PFF guys followed up on it,
No. Here's Phillip Houston talking about how Shedeur's helped him out, of assimilating.
One last thing on Shedeur, or on Seton. There's a clip. I got to go dig it up for a great receipt that someone posted out there of Jordan Seton getting beat in the spring game, being like, this is the guy who Colorado thinks is here to save their offensive line. I want to see. I want to get an update on that.
Yeah. Reply with a video of Jordan burying someone in the dirt.
There we go.
Here's Phillip Houston talking about how Shedeur has helped him out, really getting into the lineup and all that.
I don't say it's pretty easy coming in here. He's been calm down, you good. Just fall back on your technique. He just always that fresh breath of air to me. Just to take a breath, you good. Even when it's been bad situations I've been in, he always came to me, you good. Just rely on technique. So it's been pretty good.
In case you didn't know, people like playing football with Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not?
No.
Great leader, elite player.
And
awesome
a calming
dude.
Presence, Phil said.
I mean, of anything that I think has improved Shedeur's draft stock this year, because I think that his ability was already on full display last year.
Yeah.
I don't think we got to see quite as much of the leadership last year. But some of the stuff that Bucky has captured on the sidelines of Shedeur talking to receivers, talking to linemen, talking to Pat Shurmur, cooking up plays with Pat and Trav and everything, literally drawing up plays in the dirt that they know will work against the looks they're seeing. All of that stuff has been really, really a huge feather in his cap that I think teams, again, that are actually paying attention will understand and recognize about Shedeur.
Yeah, man. I tweeted a couple weeks ago, this first part is unrelated, but I tweeted a couple weeks ago that Shedeur's toughness doesn't get talked about enough. And you can say the same thing about him as a teammate. Him being a great teammate, that doesn't get talked about enough. And I was just thinking back to, a couple weeks ago at the Arizona game, right, when Hank Zaliskis had a tough game.
Yeah,
and it was Shedeur who was kind of consoling him, like, bro, you still in this with us. We're still gonna need you. We still need you locked in. This is just a bad day, and that's all it is. And again, him. Not that teammates would go out of their way while they're on the team to say that Shedeur isn't a good teammate, but again, the evidence is just mounting that he is everything you want in a franchise quarterback, the face of a program, and so he is.
I mean, we've asked a bunch of guys, over various interviews that we've had, who's your best friend on the team? A lot of guys have said Shedeur.
Yep.
Tyler Brown said Shedeur. Mm-hmm. Justin Mayer said Shedeur. I want to say maybe even Dylan Edwards said Shedeur when he was here.
Oh, yeah, they were tight.
Guys love him.
Travis,
Yeah.
Jimmy. I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, we talked about a couple weeks ago how Shedeur had our boy Cash Cleveland on his pod, and they're just
Yep.
cheesing the whole time
Really
together. Like,
Yep.
it's just dope.
Scott, you're talking about like franchise quarterbacks, and the thing that a word that people always bring up when you're looking for franchise quarterbacks is intangibles. And I
Very
think,
much so.
I mean, what Shedeur has in terms of the leadership, the poise, the confidence, and just the ability to elevate your teammates, that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about when it comes to intangibles. And it's all we hear from these guys when you ask them about Shedeur.
100%.
Amen.
Let's go back
Wait,
to
one more thing? No, I'm just kidding.
That comment
Did you see that comment?
Yes, I did.
You go get him one more thing in.
Let's go back to Coach Hart and get in on Texas Tech a little bit here. He was asked about Taj Brooks and the challenge of defending Taj Brooks this weekend.
Taj is a really good back, man. You know, you watch the film on him, you see how patient he is. We compare him a lot to Le'Veon Bell from the league, how he presses the hole, and then, you know, he has some very similar footwork to 31 from Kansas State. I think he's a bigger back. So, you know, there's that part of it that you have to make sure you get there, game tackle, wrap up, and try to get knocked back at the line of scrimmage. So we think how 28 goes is how their offense goes, and it runs through them, as you've seen in games. So, yeah, it's a great challenge. The guys are looking forward to it just because, you know, I think these backs are getting us ready for being bowl eligible, and you got to play good defense against the run.
We'll dig into Texas Tech more tomorrow, but this is Dalton said it on the PFF show when Big 12 play was starting. We've talked about it ever since then too.
Yeah.
You stop the run in this conference because there's so many good backs, and you're going to do very, very well.
Yeah, it's what this team, this defense in particular, has been building up to, right? I think DJ Giddens is probably the toughest test from a running back perspective this defense has faced and is going to face this season, at least in the regular season. But Taj Brooks is really like that. This man got 100 yards in every game he's played this year.
Yeah.
100
He's
plus
like that.
rushing yards in every
Yeah.
game. He's got a rushing touchdown in every game except one that he's played this year. So, you know, like Coach Hart said, this offense, you know, RPO, they do a lot of tempo, but it really runs through Taj Brooks. And, again, this defense has played a few games where it's going to come down to whether they can stop the run, and they've fared pretty well so far this year. So I like their chances again this weekend.
Yeah, and the crazy part about him averaging over 100 yards a game, or not even averaging, always having over 100 yards per game, is the PFF guys mentioned that they're only running the ball 40% of the time. It's a 60-40 pass run split.
That's nuts. Yeah, he's averaging 5 yards a carry.
Well, Coach Hart mentioned today too, the tempo that this team plays with
Yeah.
is going to be a major key as well.
This is man, it feels simple again to me. They stop him, win the game.
Yep.
Yep.
And that formula has worked in every game but one. They didn't stop DJ Giddens. They didn't win.
Yep.
But every other time they've been able to do it, they've won the game. And it's crazy because, you know, they're going to sling it around. They're going to throw it a lot. They have some really good receivers.
Yeah.
But you get one-dimensional, and I think that CU is in a good position to play defense. We'll talk more about kind of scouting tomorrow, but like play
Yep.
defense the way they want to play defense.
Yeah, definitely.
Just go out there and stop Taj Brooks. I don't think that Texas Tech will be able to keep up with you from a passing perspective.
For sure. I mean, he's a really good player. This conference is loaded with running backs. He's up there, man. I mean, I know you're a big Giddens fan. I'm a big Scattaboo fan. But Taj Brooks, I think, would be top 3 easily for all 3 of us here
No
on this
doubt.
show today. So,
And by
Yeah.
the way, Jacob said in the comments, Texas Tech fans hate that they don't get him the ball more. I have a feeling that this week will be different.
it's do or die for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
And exactly. I kind of think that they're going to be pretty committed to, we're going to give the ball to Taj Brooks 25 times and
Yeah.
see what happens.
He's carried the ball, and I mean, he's pretty much touching the ball at least 20 times a game. The most he's carried the ball in a game this season, though, was 32 times against Cincinnati, which is probably the best team that they played so
And
far
the
this
best
year, aside from Iowa State.
And I
obviously,
think
last
the
week.
best offensive game they had this year, right?
Nah, they scored 44 though.
Yeah.
But they scored, 52 against Abilene Christian,
Okay,
66
yeah.
against North Texas. But
They
they're-
almost lost to Abilene Christian
Yeah.
in that
Well,
game.
actually, to your point though, their best Big 12 offensive performance of the season was
Yeah.
that game. Yep.
Yep. That game
right.
was crazy.
We will
It
wrap
was.
up press conferences on the other side of this break. And shout out to our friends over at BetterHelp. There's a lot going on right now. And if you need someone to talk to, hit up our friends over at BetterHelp. With daylight savings time and seasonal depression and all that,
Bro, it was really dark outside at like 4:30 yesterday.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's crazy.
I'm not gonna say what I was about to say.
Okay. So
that's Coach probably say, "Thank you, God."
But yeah, there's a lot going on. Holidays are on the way, and we all just have tons of stuff going on in our lives. And sometimes it's hard to talk to those close to us. So if you feel like you need to speak to someone, hit up our friends over at BetterHelp. You can change therapists, no extra charge. It's entirely online. You can fit it around your schedule. All you got to do, fill out a brief questionnaire, and you'll get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no extra charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/DNVR today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DNVR.
Also, shout out to Coors Light.
Coors Light.
Everyone could use one of those these days, and it's going to be a big Coors Light weekend for us. We'll probably have to hit up Circle K tomorrow, grab some Coors Light on the way out.
Circle K is on notice right now. We're coming.
Yeah, exactly. we don't even know which one yet, though, so we're going to have to send them like a warning. Anyways, you can actually have Coors Light delivered to your door anytime when you go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Last clip from press conferences. LaVonta Bentley was asked, why does this team play better on the road? And here's what he had to say.
What's different about this team on the road? I mean, your last 3 road trips have been pretty dominant wins. Is there something about on the road that kind of brings this team together?
I think just throwing fast. That's what the coaches preach to us every game. Just go out there and don't be just a second half team. Like, go out there and show what you can do the first half, and then once you get the corrections for the second half, go back out there and do it again. Like, go out there and play fast. That's what it is.
That was an issue going back to last year, was starting fast. And when he mentioned it, I did think back on it, and it's like, that really is the difference these last 3 road games. Maybe not CSU at least, but Arizona and UCF. I mean, to be able to bounce back from that pick against UCF, and I think they opened with a scoring drive against Arizona too, right?
Sure did.
Yep.
So
that was LeJohntay 3rd and 15.
Right. It could be just as simple as that. And I think they started off relatively quick in the first half 2 weekends ago against Cincinnati, and this team starts fast, and it kind of changes the whole game.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, people hated it at the time, but back when Vance Joseph was the coach of the Broncos, he just talked a lot about how they weren't playing to their formula because they had great pass rushers, but they were finding themselves down in games early, and then those guys couldn't pass rush, and it's one of those things where it's like the beginning of the game really sets the tone. I mean, I've seen games where a team doesn't even score on their opening possession, but they flip the field and pin you on the 1 yard line. Then your first possession is coming from backed up in your own end zone. You don't get to run your script. Like, the whole thing gets out of whack and wonky. I mean, honestly, it happened against Nebraska.
Yep.
So starting fast is massive.
It's huge, and it's dope that this team has at least appeared to have figured that out, at least offensively here over the last few weeks, and it's part of the reason why they're playing really good football right now. And also, it's just a feather in the cap of this football team that they're just a good road football team.
Yeah,
they just
definitely
play well on the road at this point. And again, you can't say that about a lot of the teams, particularly even in the top 25. But, you can say that about this team, and that's going to be something that's going to help them down the stretch. And again, hopefully, in the college football playoff, assuming they make it.
You can watch all of today's press conferences on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button.
A lot of people want to know if everyone is going on the bus, and yes.
Yes.
It's spacious on there.
Oh, yeah.
Scott, how are you feeling?
I'm going to be on there.
Are you ready? Are you ready for your first
No, I'm not
bus
ready.
experience?
But I'm going to be ready. I ain't ready right now, but I'm going to be ready when it's time. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie. Me and Me and RG were talking a little about it yesterday. He was getting me prepared a little bit. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward
What
to
did he
it.
tell you? Can you share?
No, I was just going to say, I'm going to keep that
Is
on.
he
but
warning you for how out of pocket every other thing he says is?
Perhaps. Perhaps that might have been involved. But, yeah, no, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to get on the road, man.
We're
I'm
going to have a
looking
lot
forward
of
to
fun, man.
it. Hell yeah.
Let's talk about some stuff we put up on the site recently. Scott, you wrote today, right?
Yes, sir.
That you think Shedeur is going to have a massive game this weekend.
I do, man. I kind of teased it last week on the show, but I think this is that week for Shedeur Sanders to kind of have that game where everybody's like, I think he has to be in the Heisman conversation.
Let's
I think
go.
it's time. I mean, go check out that story. If you're a diehard, become a diehard on the DNVR.com to check that out and all of my content and all of Jake's great written content as well. But again, just talking about today, you know, just looking at Texas Tech defensively, and I think this is just a great matchup for Shedeur Sanders in this Colorado offense. I mean, I'll just get into it a little bit. I mean, Shedeur has an extra week to prepare for this team. And historically, that's bad news for opponents. His best 2 games this year, at least from a statistical standpoint, his best game was week 1.
Yep.
445 yards, 3 touchdowns. And obviously, he had the whole offseason to watch North Dakota State's defense. His second best statistical game was Kansas State. I think 388 yards, 3 touchdowns. And that was obviously coming off the Buffs' first bye week of, the season here this year. And then I think you even mentioned this before, RK, but going back to season openers, again, where he has the whole offseason.
Oh, it's crazy.
He dominates season openers.
It's crazy. I just had it right here. 13 touchdowns and 1 interceptions across his last 3.
And the interception was the one that careened off someone's leg in the end zone of North Dakota State.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Only one team in the Big 12 is allowing more than 300 passing yards per game this season. That's Texas Tech. Who has the fewest sacks in the Big 12 this season? That'd be Texas Tech as well. So this Red Raiders defense is susceptible to the pass. They have trouble getting after the quarterback. Shedeur is going to have extra time to prepare for this defense. I think it's looking like one of those huge weeks. His best performance of the week, I think, from a statistical perspective. I think we're going to see that from Shedeur this weekend. But go check that out on the DNVR.com and make sure you're a diehard as well.
Put a number on it. Predict the stat line.
Yeah. 415 and 4 total touchdowns. 415 and 4 total touchdowns.
27 of 31 for
That boy went down in the past.
387 and 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
Let me add one more thing, too.
Okay.
The last 3 quarterbacks to face Texas Tech.
Oh, yeah.
Sawyer Robertson of Baylor went for 290 total yards and 5 touchdowns. Josh Hoover at TCU went for 343 total yards and 3 total touchdowns. Rocco Becht of Iowa State last week went for 300 total yards and 2 touchdowns. So what y'all think Shedeur finna do?
They leave a lot of open space. Again, we'll get into it tomorrow. They leave a lot of open space in the back end, though.
Pause.
Had to be said.
I'll go with 33 of 40
Okay.
for 410 and 5 touchdowns.
Let's go. We need it. All right, and then I wrote this thing over the weekend. I talked to EJ Sanchez. He works for Dave Campbell's Texan Live. TexasFootball.com is run by Dave Campbell. I mean, they basically just cover all of high school football and are the best at what they do. EJ, though, he's covered Adrian Wilson for his entire career, basically. The Buffs' most recent commit in the 2025 class, the 4-star receiver out of Pflugerville, Texas. Y'all are wild, man.
He's trying so hard not to look up.
Anyways, here's what EJ said about how Texas really receives this program, how they receive Coach Prime, and when they get recruited and those offers come out. It says the adage from Coach Prime is that you get the best athletes overall, probably from Georgia and Florida. But if you want to get the best football players, you come to Texas. It's not like Coach Prime is new to the fact that this is where you come to get dogs. And let's remember, out of all the states and everywhere that they get players from, Texas is where the most players on this team are from on this team. 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And Colorado football in their history has done some of their best work in the state of Texas.
Yep.
Just going back to some of the best teams they've had, like Alfred Williams, Texas, Canavis McGee, Texas, I believe. My guy, Chris Brown, I believe, is from Texas. You just go and look at some of the best players in the history of this program. They come from Texas. And, not having games in Texas during the Pac-12 era, I don't think did any favors for this team.
Yep.
So now you get to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention the fact that we know, there's Buff Nation. Buff Nation is everywhere. But also there's Coach Prime Nation.
Yeah.
And their HQ is in Texas.
Yep.
For real. And just talking about Adrian Wilson, even Quanell Farrakhan,
Yep.
if you're an elite high school wide receiver or an elite high school defensive back, why would you not want to play for Coach Prime and Colorado Buffaloes with the offense that they're running under Pat Shurmur, with, the success that we've seen offensively, and again, learning from the best defensive back to ever play, Robert Livingston, the rest of the guys on the defensive staff. It's really a no-brainer, and it's credit to Coach Prime for building a program, a place that is a no-brainer for elite high school talent like that.
EJ, again, just on, how Colorado's received from these kids in high school out in Texas. He said, these kids are really starting to understand that this is a guy that speaks their language. Coach Prime is a Texas guy who went to Colorado and wants to be a part of a change instead of going to the establishment. Essentially, what I'm figuring out is that if Texas recruits don't get a Texas or Texas A&M offer and the opportunity to stay home, they understand what's going on, and I think some eyes are starting to get turned towards Boulder.
That first part of that quote where he said players are starting to realize that Coach Prime talks like how they talk, that's so massive.
It is.
One of the things that I love most about Coach Prime, particularly his pressers, or really when he's talking to the media in general, is that he's really himself all the time.
Yep.
He talks how he would talk to his homies, his friends, his family, how he talks in the media. And I love that. I respect the hell out of that. And players do too. And again, when you're recruiting guys from Texas, Florida, Georgia, the South, you kind of need somebody who can relate to them, better than just have a better relation than just we both love football.
Right.
There has to be more in common with your head coach and somebody you're trying to recruit, if you really want them to buy into your program and what you got going on. And again, that's just something that I just felt compelled to say, hearing that quote for sure.
What you saying that made me laugh because I remembered the moment in yesterday's press conference when Jack Harlow asked the question to Coach Prime's like, I need you to give this to me in like hood terminology.
Yeah.
That's literally what I'm talking about.
All love to Jack, but like he totally froze. He just said the same thing.
I literally want to say a lot like Jack can't do that for you. I'm not gonna lie. And shout out my boy Jack Harlow, but that was exactly what I'm talking about. 100%.
Also, speaking of being himself, I'm gonna need you guys to chill out on Scott's. Let him get his fits off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Real spill, bro. I'm just going to be up here fresh regardless. I know y'all want to see me in buff gear, and maybe that time will come. But for right now, man, just enjoy me up here being fresh because I am. You feel it? Horsepower.
Love it. As I said, EJ's watched Adrian Wilson really his whole high school career. He said he was rocking an I Believe sleeve last Friday. He said EJ was all skin and bones his sophomore year, but he could jump out of the gym. His junior year, he really added to his route tree. And now his coach says he can throw him a slant, and now he's faster than everyone. So now he's just pulling away from kids in Texas football. It's wild. On Quanell, EJ said he's ridiculous. He started out at the Woodlands, which is a very highly touted school, but then he goes to North Shore, which is nationally ranked. And I think they're number 4 right now in the country.
Sheesh.
And he said that's where he really starts to burst on the scene, where everybody's like, okay, this guy's going to be a dude.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Them boys are special.
I love that you went with that interview.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else was thinking of doing that.
Of course.
Good stuff, broski.
That's
Thanks,
what we're
bro.
all about.
All right, let's take our final break. Get your questions in the chat, and we'll get to them here shortly. Shout out to the homies at Circle K. Circle K, I'm warning you right now. We're on our way tomorrow.
Sheesh.
Just be ready. Get the Coors Light ready. Get the energy drinks ready. The jerky, the chips, the burgers that they have up there for Unk.
Oh yeah, bro. We should honestly bring in our own shopping cart.
We should. Can you, Circle K? Can you send us a shopping cart?
For real.
A Circle K shopping cart. Because we need help. We're gonna clean one out tomorrow. I'm excited about it. But wherever you are, wherever you're headed, Circle K's got you. Whether it's gas or you just need to refuel yourself on your way to your next destination. Download the Circle K app. Sign up for the Inner Circle for exclusive offers, new offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly. Check them out. Shout out Circle K.
I don't know where we are.
What do you love, bro?
I love my Toyota. I don't know how I got lost in my my notes there. I scrolled down too far where it's just all of them.
Yeah.
Anyways, shout out to my Toyota. Rain, sleet, snow, sun, any weather. I trust my Toyota. I won't throw anyone under the bus, but a employee who is not from Colorado, and it's really not Scott or Jake, was hitting us up today like, how do I drive on these roads? I bet you can guess who it is. And I was just like, oh, you should just get a Toyota. No, that's not what I said. I said, you'll be fine. It's really not that bad out. There's even a smart car out there on the roads. Anyways, I trust my Toyota in all conditions, and you can too. And if you want a Toyota of your own, you can visit a Front Range Toyota store at a location near you, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota in Boulder, Group Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR. What are you guys laughing about now?
King Mars.
Mars is wilding. I'm gonna get up with you one day, King Mars. Don't even trip. I'm gonna get up with you.
Damn, that's crazy.
The bookstore is crazy.
That is crazy.
We're trying to call me a librarian. You wilding. Sorry though.
Yeah, the weather's wild. We
Man.
had 2 weeks of fall. We're just right into winter. This is ridiculous.
Disgusting outside.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
It is what it is. I think it stopped snowing though.
Finally.
And it's like 65 and sunny for the game on Saturday in
Love
Texas.
that.
Cannot
We
wait.
timed that well.
What's up, chat? How y'all doing today? What do we got? Justin is first up. Is there a reasonable path to an at-large bid, even if we make the Big 12 title game and lose? If we play BYU very close, for example, and they win by a field goal or something? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great question. And I thought about that a lot. I mean, there's just something in me that feels like the committee won't be able to get past seeing a 3 next to someone's name, but they really should. They should be able to.
Mm-hmm.
I think a 3-loss team is end up getting in. Probably going to be SEC
Oh,
team.
yeah, for
but
sure.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. I'm with
Yeah.
Scott.
I'll say this also. You guys know I'm a homer, but if Colorado makes the championship game, they ain't losing.
Huh?
We're not losing.
Oh. Hell yeah. Hambash, what's up, man? How many programs do we expect to try to copycat Coach Prime's ability to utilize two-way players next season? I think at least 3 try with players who are unable to handle the load and fizzle by this time next year.
You got to
They
have
can
guys
try.
to do that. Yeah. You could try. You got to have the guys to do it.
Yeah.
And you got to be a coach who can recruit those guys and develop those guys and allow them to be those guys. So people going to try you, like you said, but
When it goes back to Coach Prime's, like, his stance on it, which is when we talked about, was it Cam Michael? Mm-hmm. Where it's like, you've got to learn to dominate one side of the ball first.
Yep.
Before I even think about, divvying up your responsibilities and say you can do 2 ways. Because it takes a very talented and athletic player, but it's going to take a very, very smart player, too, to make that happen.
no doubt.
100%. One day after this season, there'll be a great story to be told about players playing 2 ways for Colorado. And I look forward to telling it.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
Yeah.
Reggie, what's up, Reg? He wants to know what snacks you're bringing.
What's your go-to?
Bro, I'm really I guess this is maybe odd, but I love cashews. Like honey roasted cashews.
Yeah?
I don't know if
Okay.
that's weird. That
Okay.
might be random, but that's fire. I love me some Doritos. Doritos is like the goat chip. So that'd probably be my 2 go-tos. Some honey
Go-to
roasted
drink.
cashews.
Road trip drink.
I really just like water, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Hell yeah. Hydro homie.
Yeah. But natural spring water though, you feel me? No purified water. No filtered water.
Tap.
Only no. I mean, actually, I don't drink tap water. I'm not gonna lie, but I've heard that Colorado tap water is like better than.
I love Colorado tap water. Man. So good. Everyone who doesn't live in Colorado, you don't even know what you're missing out
I
on.
believe it because I never historically did tap water.
We had a whole debate one time about what state has the best tap water on the Broncos show.
I remember this.
And one of our listeners was from Alaska. And he was like, "Bro, Alaska tap water is literally just like the melt of glaciers. Like it's better." So I was like, "No way, no shot." So he sent us in like mason jars of Alaskan tap water. We did a blind taste test. Colorado still won.
Bro, Reef and King Mars, y'all have to be stopped. I'm not gonna lie, y'all are wild.
Dev Dude, we want your thoughts on Bucky inviting Young Thug to perform at CU. I don't know.
Unbelievably lit. If Young Thug ended up in Boulder, Colorado,
It'd be
that'd
crazy.
be too crazy.
All I ever listened to was Slime Season 1, so
Schlat. Hey, good stuff.
thank you, bro.
I like that.
It would be unbelievable, and it sounds like it's happening. So I can't wait to see how that unfolds. And as I told you guys before the show, I said I can already see the think piece that some idiot's gonna write. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
not the first time Coach Prime brought young thugs to Boulder.
But honestly, it's really time because then every home game there have been like stars / like rappers / artists, but like none of them have been somebody that like damn near everybody knows. Thug would be that guy, and again, if it's not him, I feel like at some point there's gonna be a superstar artist or whatever celebrity at a CU game before the season ends.
Oh yeah.
Tomo says, "Where is the tailgate located for the Utah game? I'm coming from Miami. Would love to see y'all.
Miami.
Tailgate's on the corner of 20th and Arapahoe in Boulder.
Old Harpo's lot.
6 a.m. right?
I'm
Do you have a
guessing
time?
7. I'm guessing 7 will be the kickoff.
T. Lou, where will y'all be tailgating? Bring my dad and I want him to experience this.
This weekend, we don't really know.
We'll put out a tweet.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know. This is the last game actually where we don't have like a concrete event planned.
Sweet.
For a couple of reasons, but
And then Minister Philly says, do you guys think that Texas Tech won't be able to adjust their defense for Colorado? I mean, this is going to be the most talented offense I think they played against all year.
yeah, I mean, they'll adjust some things for sure. They're going to try some stuff. The question is, can you make it work against Shedeur Sanders?
Yep.
And I watched Minnesota's. Have you watched the Vikings defense this year?
Not too
Brian
closely.
Flores been getting crazy.
Bro, he is on one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They had Joe Flacco, who's been in the league for 15 years,
Yeah.
having no idea what he's looking at.
And that was the thing going into it. I heard some people say that they went away from Richardson at least for that week because the Vikings would have just had him seeing ghosts. They had a 15-year NFL veteran seeing ghosts.
Yes, for real. And what I was gonna say about that is the Vikings can pull that off because that is what they are coached to do every single day in practice.
100%.
You can't just decide one week we're gonna throw some crazy looks
Facts.
all game.
Facts.
You won't be able to execute it. So Texas Tech is gonna try certainly to give Shedeur some looks that he's not expecting.
Yep.
But they're not going to be able to They're not gonna be able to just change their whole defense
No.
in 1 week. By the way, a lot of people coming in saying Lil Wayne might be.
Was he there this year?
He was there last year.
Okay, right. Yeah, I knew last year, but yeah. Fair. No,
No,
definitely.
he was there for the spring. Right?
No. He was.
Yeah, not
He
this
came
spring.
for the spring.
Oh, wait, yeah, but he was CSU last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he came back.
Wasn't that what everyone was freaking out about for the spring game? Was
Oh
Lil
yeah,
Wayne
the
was
concert.
performing?
The
Yeah.
concert.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
5280 Ivan says, will we see Baby T.O. at any point during this season, or is the wide receiver room too deep? I would not bet on it seeing 15 this season.
I agree.
Super chats, we go MX Rara?
Sure.
Rare?
Max Ferreira, I
Rare.
see.
Yeah.
Praying my Cowboys tank for Trav. You're going to have to pray very, very hard.
How many wins do they have now? 2?
I mean, they have not played well this year.
2
I think
or
they have
3.
2.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up Tankathon right now. Right now, the Cowboys are picking 11th, and they are 3-5.
Oh, they've got 3. I don't know if they're going to be able to
Yeah.
take for Trav. They could trade for Trav.
Cowboys are too good, I think. I mean, you're not as bad as New England or Carolina or
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Even with Dak out, maybe the next month.
Maybe.
They haven't been doing anything. And then I have no idea what they were doing with the trade yesterday. Like,
Yeah, trading for a Mingo.
what was it,
I
a
think
fourth?
they gave a fourth or a fifth. Yeah, which is nuts.
Yeah.
But
That's crazy.
Chuck is asking if we will have merch for the KU game tailgate.
Maybe. Sorry.
Maybe.
I wish I could give you a better answer. That's an events question.
The Ashanti mom says, I can't wait to meet you all this weekend. I'm coming from Houston to Lubbock for my first CU game. #SCO Buffs. Can't wait to meet you too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be epic.
can't wait to see you.
By the way, can I just say, this is our first real Big 12 road game.
For real. Yeah.
In terms of like a real Big 12 member.
Yeah. UCF and Arizona are new members.
Yes, exactly. And I'm so excited, man. Like, when we go into that stadium, and I wasn't there for UCF, and I'm sure they have a great environment down there. Mm-hmm. But like, when we go into this stadium, that's like real football stuff.
Yep.
Those people, you know, that live around there, go to school there, like this means a lot. And I'm just really excited to be in a real football stadium with real football fans.
Hell yeah.
Me too, man. Warren P with the super sticker. It's a Shiba dog saying good job while raising his thumb up.
Thank you.
Day tripping with the super chat. How many recruits signed with the Buffs on December 4th? I mean, this is only a guess, but it's going to be quite a few, I think.
20?
We have 9 or 10 now, and I do
Yeah.
think there's a great chance this class gets doubled over the next month.
All right.
Terry says Isaiah Hardge balling next year, playing 2 ways. Oh, it's a question. Seems like he's next in line.
Very possible. You know,
We'll see what happens
Cam
with Cam.
also,
Yeah,
yep.
exactly.
Colton too. I don't think we
For
can
sure.
discount him in the two-way discussion.
Definitely.
What is a Bartlett pair? I don't even know what that is.
We got a
ain't gonna
couple
lie.
minutes. You guys have anything?
someone said apparently SCO Buffs is not a thing. No, it's a thing. It's been
Hey,
a thing for many years.
I seen the comment, Arcade. Tell the people where you got this fly-ass whatever this is, because it's hard. I'm not going to lie.
That's all.
My favorite answer when people ask me that question is this one, which is that I got it at ThriftCon, which means no one else can buy it. ThriftCon, if you don't know, is a convention of thrifters. I think it's in a lot of cities now, but they have one in Denver. Basically, like all of these different thrifters come and bring their best gear out to a convention center. You can just shop around the whole place.
Nice.
And so I got this one. So yeah, there's no website you can go to find
That's
this.
hard. First thing I said when I walked in the building today, I'm like,
It's
yeah,
true.
that boy fresh today.
Thank you.
We've already kind of talked about this, but what are your expectations for this road trip?
I'm really looking forward to being around Uncle Neely for an extended
It's an experience.
period of time. I'm looking forward to seeing how you two and Alyssa interact with each other on the road as well. So yeah, it's kind of those two things as well. Yeah, and I'm interested to see how smooth the ride is as well.
It's
I've heard
actually
there were
really
some
good.
improvements. I heard
Yeah.
maybe the first road trip was a bit bumpy.
Yes.
But since then it's
Very
improved. So yeah, probably those three things, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. And like you said too, I'm excited to be in a legit legacy Big 12 school stadium, football stadium.
Are
That
they
should be
wearing
fun.
throwback uniforms that I see too?
Reed.
Bro,
That one was good. I
That's
can't even lie.
crazy.
That one is good.
Chill,
you
bro.
guys you're gonna have to lay off my guy. This is
For real,
insane.
for real. I'm gonna get up with Reef and King Mars one day. Don't trip. That's all right.
Yeah, man, these road trips are funny.
It's gonna be a ball.
You didn't mention it, but RG
Oh,
Yeah,
bro.
RG on the road.
He's
is
my favorite,
a
bro.
menace.
I kind of got a bit of a taste pause of that on the UCF trip, doing like the
Oh,
post
right.
game
Yeah,
show.
you were hanging out with us a bit.
Yeah, but yeah,
and then
for
you
sure.
get him and Neely, and then that gets me going. Yeah, it's wild out there. Poor Alyssa is all I have to say.
All right. Last show in here for damn near a week. It'll be Tuesday when we're back in the studio and the lights are on.
Sheesh.
huge weekend, man. It can't be overstated what this means for this era of Colorado football.
Definitely. We'll talk more Texas Tech tomorrow. We'll have Unk back on the bus tomorrow as well. We'll see you then. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.